welcome to episode 6. Today we have a special guest, Steve Shenbaum, founder of Game On Nation, known for making communication training actually stick by turning good to know into good to do. But we need to get into this thing. We were having a great conversation in pre-show, and Steve said, hit the record button, man. Let's get going. So Chris, what do we do now?
Let's get right to it. Here comes the rain.
We did it. Welcome to the show, Steve. Founder of Game On Nation, founded in 1997. Fun fact, we just talked about this, but 180 was founded in 97 as well. So we're both approaching 30 years, which is crazy because I'm 29. So Game On Nation, game-based communication and leadership training for a lot of pro and college teams, as well as corporate and military. Steve's got a million stories and more, so we're looking to get into it, but I'm not going to intro Steve. He's here. I'm going to do a terrible job. Steve can do way better than me. Take it away, sir.
You're good. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, JR. I think the headline story for me right now is my wife, Jackie, my daughter, 13, Blake, and Bailey's 11. Jackie and I just celebrated our 15th anniversary. I know there's no timestamp on this podcast, but October 23rd, that'd be my headline. And I'm so proud to say that because 15 years ago, that wasn't my headline. So other than that, I was an actor. We'll chop that up a little bit. Grew up in West Covina, California, moved to Bradenton to start Game On at IMG Sports Academy in 2003. We were based there from 2003 to 2013, really got our feet under us there, learned what to do, what not to do at the academy, which was a special place, also where I met my wife. And what you said, JR, we got a team of people. It's not just about me. A team of instructors teaching Game On all over the country to college and pro sports teams, military, special operation folks, and corporations, which is where I met you, JR, because we did a session out in Budapest right before COVID in 2019 for a really special client. So that's my headline.
Amazing. Steve, man.
I'll see you guys. Take care, everybody. Bye, guys. I'll take care.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, that's it? We have to do a compensation?
Got a little one.
Oh, no. We're gonna keep you on board as long as we can, man. We know you are filled with stories. So I want to jump into it. Before we get into the training side of things, I know you're killing it in that space, and we're gonna get to all of the amazing things that you're doing in that space. But you mentioned something that really stuck out to me, and that was that you were an actor before you got into this space, which means you had to make a pretty serious career change at some point to go from acting to doing team style training or corporate training, if you will. Tell us a little bit about that journey and kind of how you got to the decision to stop acting and transition.
I appreciate that because it was a huge pivot in my origin story. And I'm kind of fleshing this out recently, my origin story. So it's good timing, Chris. It was around 2002. I was auditioning, and I've been working since 1992. I graduated college at Northwestern, was a theater major, and then did commercials and TV in Chicago. But from 97 to 2002, I was in LA, and I was working a lot as an actor, and all my friends will know this. I was working because I'm a really good auditioner, and I was pretty erratic. So if you bring erratic and tension and chaos and a little bit of tension into an audition, people will find it intriguing. And I was, but that intrigue was at the cost of my mental health. So I was partying a lot. I was going out and just being young and silly. And then one big audition, I decided to just by the way, act normal. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm sacrificing for the trade. You know what my sacrifice was? I didn't go out on Friday night. I was like, oh, I'm surrendering to the cause. I'm just because I went to bed at 10, right? So
sure,
I kept kind of clean, right? But in those days, it's all relative. So studied my script, got prepared, worked out, made good decisions leading up to the audition, went a huge audition for NBC for a sitcom, and a casting director, Jeff Meschel at the time, was head of casting, big deal. So we were towards the end of the audition process where they were going to select someone. And I went in, I thought I really locked in and nailed it, shook hands, remembered people's names, hit my mark, said the script, made some good choices. And then when they called my agent, I thought I booked it. And the feedback verbatim was, what happened to Steve? He was so boring. That's what my agent said. He said, what happened to Stevie? He was so boring. And I was just like,
You went to bed at 10.
oh, wow. Exactly. I was well rested. Thank you, JR. Which, by the way, at 55, I do go to bed at 10. I go to bed at 9:30, but I'm not acting anymore. So yeah, Chris, to your question, that was a big pivotal moment for me to realize, well, maybe I'm not willing to sacrifice my mental health to continue to embrace this erratic behavior and this tension. I was kind of a tale of two cities when I was in LA. I call it imperfectly out there. I was very interesting, very dynamic. People thought I was the life of the party, but it was kind of a tears of the clown kind of thing. I go home, I was wiped out. So yeah, that was a big pivotal moment for me. Like, wait a second, I have other things I'm really gifted at doing that might lean into my talents better than acting, and it won't make me sacrifice my mental health.
Yeah, and I can imagine hearing that news at the time was kind of shocking, given kind of the feedback that you've gotten throughout your career in acting and the response that you were used to. So I have to ask the follow-up question then. Was it easy for you to realize that decision in that very moment? Did it take time? Were there others around you that helped guide you to taking that step out away from acting? Talk us through kind of what that process was like.
I think you helped me with the answer on that third option. I had some people around me that really cared about me, and that helped a lot. I had something else that I was passionate about. I already had started teaching what I call audition training and media training. So that was the beginnings of Game On. So that was already happening. I was already doing workshops in Santa Monica, California with some athletes, Pete Sampras, a tennis player that was friends with a friend of mine, and Rick Fox, who was with the Lakers at the time. So I had some audition training that I was doing, but really the point you made, I had a board of advisors without it officially being a board of advisors that spoke life into me, spoke truths into me. So when I hit the wall and was like, man, are these casting directors just celebrating me because I'm wild? I had enough people in my life that were like, yeah, like they spoke truth. They were like, because you need that. If we're going to be leaders, you need encouragement. Let's be real. JR, Chris, all three of us, we want people to speak life into us, but we also need a couple people. I don't need 100. We need a couple people who can, I don't need 100 people challenging me, but need a couple people that can grab our face mask and be like, hey, Steve, we love you. And so we're going to tell you, you got to chill, man. You're it's so much. You're going to wipe out. So that board of directors that I had, unofficial board of directors, helped me when I said, maybe I should just be teaching this Game On concept and grow that. And they're like, you should. If that's where your passion is, go for it. That helped a lot.
So I'd be remiss to have you on the show and talk about Hollywood and all these contexts that you have and all this work that you've done without asking, how can I stream you tonight on my television?
And this is why I'm on this podcast. Yeah, this is why I'm on this podcast. You guys will be the 4 people that view my stuff. You know, the one that I get recognized the most for is probably American Pie 2, just because it's watched. I was a band camp counselor in American Pie 2.
Oh, man. I don't think I knew that one.
Come on.
No.
Well, I still get $3 residual checks. Dude, I'll get checks. I'll get residual checks that are, the check is less than the SAM on the check.
That's crazy. You got to check those boxes, though.
No, the ones that people remembered back, Space Jam, the original Space Jam. I can't believe I have to say original because there's another one. I was Michael's teammate. Said, you struck out, Mike, but you look good striking out. The band camp counselor, American Pie 2, and Will and Grace and Dharma and Greg, some of those old school sitcoms, and then commercials that whatever they'd give me, I would sell.
Space Jam, we talked about Budapest at the top, right? And when you walked in the room,
yeah.
I didn't connect the name, but as soon as I saw your face, I turned to Arnie. I was like, I know this guy. Like, we've met before or something's going on. And then after a while, we figured it out. I was like, he's fucking Space Jam.
Hey, quick Space Jam story. I know you got quick Space Jam story. I don't like to drop names, but I will right now. So I was with Michael Jordan because he was in the scene with me, and we were in makeup together for like 3 days. It just paired that way. 2 people in the trailer. It's MJ, and then they just picked me. So we got to hang out for like 3 straight days together, chopping it up. That's like invaluable time, right?
Yep.
To the point where I ran out of things to say. Imagine being with a celebrity that big. You actually run out of stuff. You're like, what? I got nothing. I'm out. So years later, I was at a golf event with another celebrity friend of mine. I'm dropping a ton of names. We'll pick them all up at the end of the podcast. So I'm with my buddy Matt Damon and another friend, and we're just we're just at this Shadow Creek golf course, and MJ shows up. And Michael, you know how celebrities connect. So MJ and Matt Damon are like celebritying it up. And MJ looks at me because Matt's about to introduce me. And MJ looks at me and said, "You look familiar, man." And I said, "You do too."
He probably loved that.
Yeah.
He probably had that.
That was my comeback. I was like, I was waiting. Matt was like, "Steve, you've been waiting to say that for, maybe."
Yep.
How many times you can just have, so to MJ, like, you look familiar, like, so do you, man. How do I know you?
That is funny. Did he end up remembering you, or did you have to tell him?
Ish. I wish I could finish this story with a big dynamite. Like, "Oh, yes, you were the guy in the,"
Yeah.
I had to, like, the dude meets a million people. I was like,
Yeah.
He's like, "How? We were in Space Jam." "Oh, yeah, he did." You remember once I said Space Jam, and I had to do the line. Like, I had to act it out a little bit, but he was like, cool.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good moment.
So
That's awesome, man.
yeah, that's pre-game on, Steve, partying on Friday night, you know, hooping it up, going to bed after 10 to bedtime at 9:30, running a business. You got people you're responsible for and a family. That's a transition in time. And to today, you know, working on those challenges within the business. And you talked a little bit about in our pre-work that, you know, you could deliver transformational sessions, but you struggled to consistently and authentically show your value proposition without losing your voice. Let's talk about that a little bit. What does that mean, and how are you feeling, and how are you feeling about that?
That's great. I still am struggling with it. I think there's this tension always to be authentic. I mean, JR, I know how you work because we work together, you on the production side, me on stage, and Chris, I'm getting to hear your voice and sound. It's so authentic. There's always tension between how do you stay authentic and how do you also let your audience know that you have something to offer, you know? And so I think I err too far on the authentic side to where I just hate selling on stage. So I don't have that level up component. So I've always struggled with that. I think my team has helped me get better about it. And my reframe has been, instead of feeling like it's an upsell, like let's say I'm doing a live training, you know, there's nothing wrong with at the end having a slide that says, if you want to know more about what we have to offer, you can visit us here. I've had such a problem with that. You know, it feels so weird to do an hour and a half, 2 hours live training about literally called Cultivating Authentic Connection, where you lead the audience through this idea of transparency. And then at the end, be like, by the way, if you like that, there's more, you know. But,
scan this QR code.
It's weird. Exactly. But on the flip side, if you overplay that transparency, that humility, you could actually limit your team and you. So I reframed it and thought, okay, we're offering something good. And if you want to offer a gift and you do not offer that gift with sincerity, you're actually doing a disservice to the person that you're trying to impact. So I've had to reframe it from selling to just, if it's a good thing, hey, I want you to know about it. So that's been my journey. Probably will always be something I'm navigating.
It's one thing I've appreciated with you always when you're on a stage that we're producing, from the first time to the most recent time, is, you know, the first time we came across each other, I said, you know, this guy's different. There wasn't a hook at the end. You weren't pushing a book. You know, we usually sit back as producers and backstage of these meetings and we're like, all right, here comes the book. And you didn't do that. You were there for them and you showed up authentically. So there is incredible value to that. And then so that's incredibly sharp razor's edge to ride. How do you ride that edge?
So good. You guys are both good at giving transitional questions. If you're riding the edge alone, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm going to connect this back and I'm doing a bit. If you're riding the edge alone, you can get away with that sort of humility. So, but if you're responsible for a team of people, which I am, then you owe it to your staff to be proactive about building your business. You are. If you have salaries dependent upon your work, you cannot lay low and chill it out. I could slow play my entire career if it was just me. But when there's other people in the car, including my wife and children, then you've got to check yourself and be like, hold on a second. This could become really frustrating for your staff if they're like, dude, get the word out, man. Like, write the book. like let the audience know that we have other programs that we offer, and see if we can create these master services agreements, and see if we can do work in perpetuity. So to answer that, JR, it shifts when I visualize there's a whole group of people that are in the car that I'm driving, and you drive differently when you have a group of people in the car when you're driving solo.
For sure. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
And you talk about responsible for your team 100%. And then you talk about responsible for your family, but it even extends to your team's families. Like there's a whole community of people that are reliant on your success. And at some point you have to advocate for that and the business, and advocating for the business is advocating for them. So extreme wisdom from Steve.
I want to add that, JR, because I know your dad ran this, and then you guys are leaders now. Leaders, whether you have 4 people on your team or you have 50, have that dinner where you gather your staff and family together, and do not be prideful, but look at that group as folks that are, you're responsible for health insurance, you're responsible for their gainful employment, you're responsible for their paycheck to be deposited bi-monthly. And I don't mean this in a prideful way. Don't make that announcement, but it changes your whole lens, and it changes how you make decisions when you look at that table of people that you're breaking bread with, and you realize, wow, my decisions when I was a solo actor only impacted me. Mm-hmm. Me going out to an audition and being twerky and out there and hungover, that is only affecting me. So you could argue that solo act, you can get away with a lot more damage because no one else is in the car. But when you sit and look, to your point, JR, and you go, wow, if I make a poor decision in a meeting, if I miss an opportunity to grow my company, if I misrepresent my brand by acting like a fool, then I'm impacting way more than just me.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. And going back to the saying of towing a fine line or walking that sharp edge, you being the leader, Steve, you being the driver of the car with your team in it, from an internal perspective, what does validation look like for a leader like yourself? And then also on the client side, you're still walking a fine line. I would imagine that every group is a little bit different in terms of how you train and how you connect. What does validation look like on the external client side as well? And how do you find the answer to what you're doing is the right way? Or are you always playing the game of second guessing? Are you doing things right? Should you change things? Should you consider doing things different? What does that side of things look like for you?
Yeah, I'll start with the internal. And that word validation, Chris, I think needs to be defined for leaders. So first, I'll just say it, and I think you'll both agree. Leaders out there, which is basically anyone that is leading anyone, right? My daughter, who's 13, is a leader. She happens to be a leader of her 11-year-old sister, and they're not always good about it. You can't, as leaders, you cannot wait for your staff to celebrate you all the time. That's not the dynamic you're looking for. So one good to do, which is more than just good to know. We'll unpack that. Good to know is you have to honor your team. You have to continue to grow. Good to do. And I have to give my team credit for this. We've started to implement after action reports internally where we don't just do like performance reviews every quarter. We'll have AAR, we call it. It's brought in kind of from military speak from my COO, Jake, who was in special operations for 28 years and took over as COO 2 years ago. Shout out to Jake. But we will constantly do AARs, which helps so much because you're getting kind of daily feedback. So you don't just wait for a performance review to get like, all the critical feedback. So Chris, to that question about like validation, I look at it as, am I making sure that I'm listening to my staff's needs? And am I getting proper feedback as a leader where I need to improve? A lot of times it's hard for people to report up, to tell people the truth that are above them, So that's a huge one. That doesn't mean that my staff sits down and just unpacks everything on the daily. That's gnarly, but they need to have the space and freedom to, hey, Steve, I feel like you could have, posted that social media post through the Game On account prior to posting it through Steve's account. Like even just basic things like that, because as leaders, you don't always know what you don't know. And then externally, this is a pretty one that I've had forever. When we teach live or virtual, I have always said to my team, I'm better at this one on the external than I am on the internal, because I think I'm a better presenter than I am a leader. I'm just being totally real. That's not a bit. I never have ever approached a training where I want the audience to like me.
Yeah.
I have always approached a training thinking, I want them to love something that we're sharing that can help them improve. And I have to think that way because I know how prideful I can be. And I know how emotional I can be because I was an actor where everything was about like me, like me, like me. So for the external, always thinking, how can I serve my audience, make a positive impact, and not focus on, I hope you like me. And then with that, we also are really intentional about doing surveys, try to do them right there on the spot, ask good questions of our audience so we can get results back that are not just, was it engaging? Because if you ask an audience that when they experience Game On, like, was it, you're going to get fives across the board, man. Like, but yes, yeah, exactly. Like, was the presenter high energy? Oh, yes, he was. He was very high energy. Yeah. No, you ask questions like, was your presenter breathing? Oh yeah, he was breathing.
Yeah.
He breathed.
He was definitely there. He was also there.
Your presenters show up. Oh yeah, he did. He set up. Oh, they're great. No, things like did the presenter offer some tangible, practical techniques that I can use to impact in my role within this company? That's a real question. So that's it. I hope that hit the mark.
Well, I can boost you a little. I've never met a good leader that said they were a good leader. So you saying that you're not sure who you are probably means you are. I'll paraphrase. I read Radical Candor with a colleague here recently, and it said you have to be willing to always help and accept that you might be hated for it. And that's leadership.
So it is. And I'll tell you guys, it's tricky. Someone said to me, a buddy of mine, Kyle Stark, something like that, similar. Like, as leaders, we basically have to wake up every day being ready to know that you're going to upset or frustrate or say to someone something they need to hear, but they may not want to hear.
Yep.
That's hard, especially, I think, Jerry, you already know this, Chris, you might be picking this up, especially someone like me who I do come from a very engaging emotional lens, and I feel very deeply. And it's one of my giftings. That's really hard, though. If you feel deeply, and as a leader, you have to be prepared that you're going to be saying things to people that they need to hear, but they don't want to hear. That's a real tale of two cities. You know?
So most definitely.
Tell me about, we were talking about this, like you can hit a switch, like you can go from like, hey, I'm not going to be self-promotional to now I'm going to be self-promotional and everything's going to be great and it's just all going to work out and business is going to be awesome. But it doesn't work like that either. So you've turned on the promotional switch. Tell me about a time where you did the pitch or the keynote or you launched the website and it just didn't land.
Oh, wow. I thought about this, JR. You kind of gave me a little heads up. I'm like, which way do I want to go? It just happened, dude. It just happened. We'll leave names out of it.
Yes. Cool.
because Matt Damon and Michael Jordan told me not to drop names.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good one. Dude, I did
I like the way you did that there.
Yeah, subtle. Just recently, our company, 3 of us went up and had a huge meeting in Atlanta. And long story short, it was a meeting where we've done some work with this firm, big firm, and we wanted to show them more that we have to offer, more depth. And a team of instructors. We have 14 different instructors all over the country. We teach live and we teach live virtually, live remote, and we have core programs. By the way, I'm doing the pitch right now while I tell the story. We have 4 core programs: cultivating authentic connection, a culture of feedback, seeing change as opportunity, and building collaborative teams. All of this, we went to the meeting and we didn't ask any good questions at the beginning of the meeting. All we did was sat and talked about how awesome we were. And these are good people that know us. And it was a hour-long meeting. And we knew early on in the meeting that like, we weren't, but there was no way to stop the meeting. You could either just say pause, which was probably the right call. You just keep going. So we finished the meeting. It wasn't horrible, like if you looked at it from the outside, but afterwards, one of the executives stuck around who trusts us immensely, and the door closed, and he gave that feedback. He said, "We love you, and we think you guys are awesome. But I'll tell you, if you want to do this again, given the people that were in this room and how busy they are, it would have been really helpful if you would have just stopped and less about how awesome you all are, and more about what do they need." That was it.
Yep.
And this is hard to admit because I think you guys get a sense. We want to come. Game On never gets knocked for like not being nice and kind and empathetic. We're pretty heavy on that, but we overplayed it, and we got so excited. And as the leader, I had to own that. And I really appreciated that executive who stuck around. The meeting ended. The executives left. He stayed. He walked back in. He said, "Hey, I love you guys, and I'm going to tell you real quick. You didn't ask any good questions to begin the meeting to let you know what our needs are. And then from there, you can start to decide what you want to share in your deck. We just had our deck all set, and we're going to tell you everything that we could do. And then you find out later, it would have been nice just to get some answers to the test prior to us talking for like 52 minutes in an hour meeting."
A little too tactical. I'm not giving them enough feelings. And at some point you have to say to yourself, I'm in this room for a reason. I don't need to prove who I am anymore. They brought me here because they trust me. I need to listen to them. I need to answer their questions. We learned that lesson the hard way too. We're going to come in, we're going to show them the coolest general session, the 3D renders and the logo. Yeah. We're going to tell it all to them. And then it was just us talking for 45 minutes. Then you get to the end, you're like, "Are there any questions?" And there's not. And you're like, "What did we do wrong?"
JR, that's exactly what by the way, this is therapeutic because now I feel like it's not just me. That's exactly what happened. I stopped the meeting, finished, and I turned to the leader and I said, "So do you have any feedback?" And he just took a big breath. He's like, "Well, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to take." And I was like, "Oh no, oh no." But here's the other thing that I'll say. You have to own it. You have to have this conversation. By the way, you have to be, not even just on a podcast. Leaders, we have to have these conversations, even if it's private. Say, "Hey, where did I mess up?" That's why I love Sideways Rain. It's not just, "Hey, let me tell me about your epic victories." That's easy. You can read that on social media. Everyone posts their epic victories. Have these conversations. You're going to find out you're not alone. And what I love is there's two things to this. One is try not to do the mistake again. Just try not to do the mistake again. And if you do it over and over again, you got a major problem. And the other is own it, but don't wear it. And that's a big one for me as a leader. And because my team gets affected by it because I wear stuff and then they'll say, "But own it," like we're doing right now. We had a huge after action report, but then also don't wear it because then you're overplaying it. And now you're just sitting there, "Woe is me." And guess what? You're going to bring that energy into the next meeting. And guess what? The next meeting, they don't know what happened in Atlanta. It's a different company. So you're moving into a new scene. And if you wear it, and you apologize for it, then they're sitting there going, "Wait, why are you carrying this burden? I don't even know what happened in Atlanta. I want to know." So that was going to be my two huge lessons is own it, but don't wear it.
That's great. And it's exactly where I was going based on hearing your story. And I'm hearing a lot of similarities at different points of your life, Steve. So you're in Hollywood. You said your agent told you maybe there's other things out there for you. You were able to receive that feedback. Same thing when you got in this big room and afterwards you hear, "Hey, you probably should have done it this way." What I'm seeing from you is you're very receptive to criticism or feedback. You don't take it personal, you decipher it, and then you figure out how to be better. I wouldn't necessarily say that's easy for leaders or others in positions like yourself. How did you get to that point where mentally you can take in that info and turn it into something positive for you and your team? Because I feel like that's a lot of places where some leaders or entrepreneurs struggle in today's world, where criticism or feedback isn't received in the best way, therefore it doesn't yield what it's supposed to.
Yeah, I have a really clear answer, Chris, and I'll give a suggestion as well. It's because I was an actor for so long, not the performance side. You got to realize as an actor, and I've been an actor since I was about 16 and went to study at Northwestern, you're getting feedback all the time. You don't even realize it. As actors, that's a big part of the jam is you do something, you crave feedback. You don't even realize you're getting feedback. I would say the acting community as a whole probably is more positioned to get after action reports than any other industry I know, because it's just part of the culture, right? You rehearse, I mean, athletes too. So I just was predispositioned to understand not only how to get feedback, but also you crave it, because when opening night starts, you want to make sure your part is locked in. You don't want to keep making the same mistake. So that was where I think I built, and I'm still not perfect at it. I still will wear stuff, and I do. It's hard not to take things personally when you own the company, which we can talk about on a separate kind of moment, but earmark that. Because if you own the company and someone knocks the company, how do you not take that as an attack on you? So I actually shifted. I'm switching gears for a second. Bear with me. I like to say, be a good steward of your company. Be a good steward of your division. But when you start saying, I own this division or I own this company, guess what happens? Everything they say negative about that company, you're going to wear it. You're going to wear it because you, quote unquote, own it. So I try to shift and play word games with myself and say, I'm a good steward of this business. But I also would encourage leaders, Chris. I would encourage leaders to take, especially early on in business school, take an improv class. And I mean this not to be quick on your feet. When you take an improv class or some kind of theater class or a presentation class, public speaking class, you're going to put yourself in an environment where you're going to get live feedback. And you got to learn how to handle that, because good leaders have to give and receive feedback. So I'm astounded that more business schools out there aren't connecting with the theater departments at their universities, because they don't realize how similar their audience is and how valuable their learning offerings could be to those audience members.
Yeah, a lot of leaders are afraid of the word no too.
Steve's dropping gems today. I love it. So much knowledge. I feel like we're in a training session. Getting that free session.
It's because I'm perfect, Chris. And I'm humble about it. I'm not going to brag about it, but bro,
you don't have to forgive yourself if you do everything right.
I love it,
dude. I'm so imperfectly out there.
Yeah,
that may be the title of the next book. Imperfectly out there. Now I appreciate that compliment, Chris, but this because I'm living in this mess all the time, and making mistakes. Just try not to make the same mistake over and over and over again. Then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Then you got a problem.
I had my mentor here today, and we were chatting about a challenge I had recently, and he hit me sideways with a question, and it was, did you forgive yourself for that? And I thought about it, and I said, not actively. Like, I didn't say, I forgive you, JR, for that thing that happened. But the way I tend to forgive myself as a leader and in business is to learn from it. And like you said, never let it happen again. And so I took that thing and I made it constructive. So Chris and I talk about this at WIFT all the time. All feedback is good feedback. Negative, positive, in between, meh. All of it has value. So how do you take that value and apply it so that you're better in the future? And I think that's the crux of what you're getting at here.
So good. Yeah. You know, no one wakes up in the morning and says, can't wait to be criticized.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get feedback. I hope it's
I hope it's awful.
But yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
And you know, one of our colleagues, Chris Friday, creates this nice approach to one of our programs, cultivating a culture of feedback, creating a culture of feedback. And there's really two definitions of feedback. One is, something around this idea of like noise. You know, noise is actually a definition of feedback, that idea of like that sound and fury of noise. And the other definition of feedback is what you said, JR, is information that can help you improve.
Yep.
And they're both definitions of the same word. And I think we have to remind ourselves, it's not just noise and sound and fury. It's actually like, let me tell you something. If they don't tell us, who will?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears is to do something with my energy and my position in my company with such fervor, and I'm wrong. You know, that's one of my biggest fears, because
that's every day.
It's like the guy that can hit. Yeah. And doing something with such conviction, a big decision, and I'm off. It's like, if you're an average golfer and you hit off the tee like 100 yards, if you're off, you're not that off. But if you're bombing off the tee at like 350 yards and you're off, you're 2 fairways away.
Well,
And so I get very concerned about making big, profound decisions
Yep.
that will impact the trajectory of my company and the livelihoods of the people that work for Game On, and I'm 3 fairways away. That's like really, really concerning. That's a serious responsibility.
yeah. So let's not talk about that anymore. All right, we covered the sideways rain. Let's get into the umbrella, because it's not all bad. There's certainly challenges in the business, but how did you find? How were you able to promote without losing your voice, and how did you do it through your team?
Yeah, I think one of the things I talked about is I hired my weaknesses. What I mean by that is I brought in people that I'm really not that really good at what they did. That I'm not just like, oh, they compliment. No, forget it. Get real. Like they do what I'm really bad at doing. And what I mean by that is bringing people in that have a background in logistics and operations and designing in Canva. And even recently, understanding ChatGPT and Otter AI and various AI components that can keep us efficient without losing authenticity. So that was my big umbrella moment, JR, was when you're running Game On, which is an improv-based, game-based company, meaning we use improvisation as a gateway to teach, you're going to end up with a lot of creatives.
Mm-hmm.
Your cup is going to runneth over on the creative side. You got to be careful that you don't sit around going, ooh, I love all the people I'm hanging out with in my company. It's not a sitcom. This isn't Friends. I mean, no offense, but it's not like, in my day, it was like Cheers. Cheers was a sitcom, not a business.
Yep.
But you have this idea of, I just want to walk in every day to work and everyone's just getting along and high-fiving. And the fact is, that's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought in my weaknesses, and that then helped create some equilibrium when it came to presenting with authenticity and also promoting with integrity.
That's why they only showed Norm walking in and never paying his bar tab.
But true. I mean, it's not reality. It's not how it works. That was a good put right there, JR. It's like, yeah, you're right. He never paid.
Oh, man.
He got paid. That actor got paid.
So, next question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
I see here in one of your pre-answers, you mentioned making good to do tangible. I love that. Could you give us a little more context about how you came up with that and what that means?
Yeah. I've been in this industry, this leadership communication, so long. I kind of learned what to do, what not to do. I've made all the mistakes. And what I mean by that is let's start with good to know, which is bang left, and good to do is bang right, meaning left and right both exist and both needed. Good to know is more about those phrases that you hear a lot of presenters share, which is important. I don't want to mock it. Phrases like, we need to be respectful. We need to trust one another. We need to be compassionate. Let's just use like basic common poster phrases. No one's going to speak against that, right? You're not going to go to a conference and say, hey, everyone in this company, we need to communicate better and we need to honor one another. We need to trust each other. No one's going to stand up and throw a tomato at you for that. Fair?
Fair.
But if you stop at that, you might get a high survey result, but there's no tangible growth in the company. You've tickled their ears. And you could argue that when we tickle the ear of the audience, you're doing them a disservice if you leave it there, because they feel and think that they've satisfied what's needed in order to grow. It's like telling, if I'm a physical trainer, it's like telling both of you as my clients how important it is to work out. If I stop there, I've failed you as a personal trainer, because I've never gotten you in the gym. We've never done any squats. Guess why? Because squats are hard. And you're going to start to get angry at me because I'm making you do hard things. All I've done is talked about how important it is to be healthy. So you got to do both. So the good to know is what I just mentioned. The good to do is much more practical. It's not as exciting. And I don't think it's as fun to share on stage. Good to do's could be, let's use a good to know and a good to do. Good to know could be, Chris, we need to honor our colleagues and make sure we're being attentive to them and being intentional when they're coming into our office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good to do would be when you come into my office, I got to be cognizant of putting my laptop down so you have my undivided attention. So the good to do is laptop down.
Mm-hmm.
The good to know is I need to honor you as a colleague. Good to do is not as exciting. It's not going to get a standing ovation. But guess what? Laptop down is way more memorable than let's honor. It's more tangible. So that's the idea. And then the challenge is to do both. Have a good to know, which is let's be more communicative as a company. Let's give feedback on a regular basis. Cool. What's a good to do? Have an AAR report every other Friday. And we're going to call it AAR report every other Friday. That's it.
I love it.
But I'm going to be real a second. As a presenter, you're going to get higher survey results if you just share good to knows. You will, especially if you're dynamic on stage.
Yep.
But the audience is going to get more results in perpetuity if you also offer practical, tangible good to do's. And that is honestly challenging because you do not want to get low survey results. But, you got to do it if you want to pass the threshold and actually get to some actionable steps that an audience, a team, a military group can actually apply.
Yep.
Because I want audiences to be able to hear Game On's message, and I also want it to make sense to their needs. And if we don't drive to their needs, then honestly, you're just a performer. And I don't mean that in a rude way, but I left Hollywood because I was a performer. I want to be a presenter and I want to impact. If I wanted to perform, I'd go, join an improv troupe.
Yeah, I took some notes here because I didn't want to lose this. For me, good to know is a company's strategy, and the good to do is the operations or the execution. And the good to know doesn't cost you anything, right? Like we can say in 10 years, we're going to be a company of 50 and we're going to be the best in the industry. But if you don't have the operations behind the good to know, that is only a good feeling. You have to put the time and the execution into it to make that good to know real. So it's important that they go hand in hand, strategy and operations.
Yeah.
Permissionist. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can only imagine that the impact the good to do will deliver to those on the other side. And Steve, to the people that you're speaking to on stage, I feel like those good to do's will resonate far beyond those good to knows at first hearing those things from you.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's accurate, or do they both have equal impact?
No, two things. First, JR, the way you said that was beautiful. I'm like literally going to borrow that. It's so true. It's the mission statement versus the logistics and the action. Chris, to your point, I think the good to do is more memorable, but it won't get us in there. It's more memorable. Like when I get stopped years from now in a training, no one says, "Oh man, I love that monologue that you ranted on. I love that run you went on for 5 minutes." No, they'll say things like "laptop down."
Yep.
They'll say "laugh with, not at." They'll say, "I'm a coin collector. I've been collecting my coins." Those are all good to do's because they're memorable. But you got to understand when you're giving good to do's, like to JR's point, the logistics, like the action steps, it's not going to be an immediate standing ovation because they have to put it into action.
Yep.
But they'll come back to you later and be like, I ran that play. And let me tell you,
yep,
we saw the results. So.
I think dependent on your position in the organization, it'll affect your good to knows versus your good to do's, right? So like as a company leader or company leadership, all the decisions you make should be through the lens of the good to know, right? You should implement your good to do's through that lens. But if you're lower in the organization, you're probably more on the good to do side, and you needed to be reminded of your good to knows by leadership more often. So like, why are we having this meeting every week, Steve? Hey, remember why? This is why we're doing that thing. And if as leaders, we're able to have that North Star and continually remember or tell people of that North Star, we're doing our jobs well. The problem is so many small to medium businesses do not have a strategy they can latch onto, and people just come to work and do work, and they'll go home at the end of the day and they'll say, I don't know why I'm doing this. And as leaders, we have to give them that North Star. You have to give them that good to know. You have to keep pointing at it.
So good, actually. Now you all are cooking. Look at you with the umbrellas up. I'm serious. This segment, y'all are like, this is your thing. No, I mean this. I'm not being a fake encourager. JR, you actually remind me that it's not just an A and a B. It's a continuum.
Yep.
It's the good to know, the good to do, good to know, the good to do, good to know. I mean, that's kind of the whole theme when I chop up leadership with guys like you. It's this equilibrium. It's this tension between challenge and support, tension between what people need to hear versus what they want to hear. But I love what you said. The good to we don't just go good to know and then good to do it. If you overplay the good to do, keep this in mind. You could actually get to where it's so exhausting, where it's just literally every day people going, it becomes a to-do list.
Yep.
You know,
what are we doing this for?
Did you remember? Yeah. Did you remember everyone's birthday? Did we hit our quarterly report? Did we return the email within 24 hours? Did we take our Friday fun day? And it becomes very task specific. So I love what you said, JR. Keep reminding the good to do, so then we can put the action in play, and that's a good to know to put into the good to do. Good.
You better have had fun today. Friday fun day. You better have had fun.
We're gonna have fun whether you like it or not. That's part of our good to do. We have fun right now. Friday fun day. It's an alliteration. It's a literum. It's a literum. It's a FF. Yeah, but that's it. But you joke, you laugh, team. But that's what we go to, where we're like, yeah, what, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I've just become a fun sponge.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Almost like a robot.
Okay, we talked about the umbrella. Let's do clear skies. And I want to clarify something, Chris. You can jump in here, but we talk about clear skies a lot. And one thing I want to do before we jump in is this isn't like we've gotten through the moment and all the rest of the days the skies are clear. Man, there's still weather, right? We're going to talk about clear sky days and what they look like. So what is that consistent message, right? Team mix look like? What are the measurable behaviors like? What do clear sky days look like? Because I don't want people to think like we get through these moments and then it's just all gravy.
I know. I think I had a clear sky recently when my team started to have a lot of hope that we have the alignment to lean into asynchronous module pre-recorded trainings. So I know that sounds very like tactical and dry, but it's a really interesting time. Just recently, we do so much live training that we are starting to really partner up and explore how can we take some of our content and this is not revolutionary. There's so many companies out there are doing that. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying it because part of the clear sky is about the team being aligned and having hope that there's a opportunity for everyone to get involved to expand the business. So I saw a shift where they just got excited. They're like, oh, where can I have a role in that? And that makes sense. And it's going to allow us to get our message out on a larger platform. And it's not going to be so labor intensive and it's scalable. So that was a clear sky moment. Now you got to be careful that just doesn't become a dopamine hit. And then come Monday, you're back to the live grind. But I experienced that clear sky moment a little bit. And you can just feel a shift in the team's energy and in their their hope.
Yeah, JR, I think we kind of went through the same thing in the last couple of weeks with our team at WIFT and getting to that level of understanding and that level of buy-in with our development team.
Yep.
And Steve, to your point, it's almost like just a nice, bright, sunny day where everyone's on the same page, everyone has the same amount of motivation and belief, and everyone's coming to the table to be a creative and figure out how to push things forward. And you just feel that energy from team member to team member. But it's not always like that because everyone's different, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because if everyone's different, you're going to end up going one way, which may not be the right way. So it's funny that you say that because we're experiencing the exact same thing around the same time.
I got a question.
Chris, you said, yeah, go for it, Chris.
How do you measure good?
Yeah. I think you have to define success first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to just answer for me because really I can't speak for my team. I think good / success are kind of funny, but they're correlated. The irony is I'm going to turn this into a callback, but I did not expect this. Am I being attentive and being a good husband? Am I spending more time and having my girls be the more important audience member than Deloitte and Merck and the Yankees and Notre Dame basketball? And ready, wait for it. I'm not doing a bit. Am I going to bed before 10 o'clock and enjoying it? If I'm doing that first, then I'm positioning myself to drive the game on machine with sobriety. So that to me is success. Now, that doesn't mean, leaders, that we forego profit. Come on, let's be realistic.
Nope.
We cannot forego spreadsheets and revenue. But actually, Jan, I wouldn't have answered this way when I was 30. And I don't mean this in some cheesy, poster phrase, but when I'm well rested and my wife and I are rhythming and my girls respect me and they're getting their father's attention and I can get to the softball game, then guess what? I'm going to lead my team better because I'm in a better place. Guess what? I'm going to make better business decisions. I'm going to take feedback better. And then when I am representing Game On as the face in front of huge audiences, I am grounded and I'm able to communicate and impact an audience because I am, I don't know what Jeff Meschel at NBC might say was boring when I was 28.
I like being boring. I go to bed at 9.
Dude, let me tell you. I'm, as my daughter says, Dad, you're extra enough.
I mean, the Timberwolves play on the West Coast tonight, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
9 p.m. tip off? I don't know. Is it worth it?
See that?
And you feel it.
Fire.
You feel it.
You do feel it. Oh, come on. I'm the elder on this podcast. Trust me. But back in the day, imagine we were like, I can't. All right, I'm going to go to bed at 10 on a Friday. I'm sacrificing. I'm so noble. I'm so noble. Now I'm like, yeah, it's so funny. Timberwolves playing on the West Coast. Like, I don't know. I'll watch the first quarter.
Yep. I've had that debate.
Center in the morning.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. We like to do something fun at the end of these podcasts, and these are something we don't share with you because we like to get a candid reaction. We know you're good at this, so try to throw you off with some of these. We're going to do the lightning round, and I'll get it kicked off with what is the best green room amenity?
If I were an actor right now, green room amenity would be an Alexa, so I could say to the Alexa, play any music I want. That would be current. But back in my day, there was no Alexa. So green room amenity for me, no joke, because I was so high energy, was good air conditioning. Because if the green rooms were too hot, I would get overstimulated and I would wipe out before my scene was ready. I can't believe I'm being so transparent. I don't like this segment. It's too real. So now Alexa, before air conditioning. What you thought it was like green M&Ms? No, I can get overheated. So I need an AC, man.
Nice.
In order to be Michael Jordan's teammate in Space Jam.
I feel that. There's a lot of anxiousness. There's a lot of other people walking around, and you're wearing stuff that you're not used to wearing. Like, I could only imagine. That was a good one, JR. I like that one.
That was good.
So that was a good one. So my lightning round question, Steve, is obviously you've been on a lot of stages. You've talked to a lot of crowds. You've talked to professional athletes, collegiate athletes. What's been the most memorable moment since you founded this company in 1997? And why is that the most memorable moment of you speaking on stage or speaking to an athlete?
Chris is going meaningful, and I'm just going goofy with this thing.
All right. You gotta rest so you can watch the Timberwolves on the West Coast, Jack. Chris, one moment I had was actually in front of a really hard audience, which was 14-year-old girl soccer players. It was at Florida State, and my friend Mark Krikorian was the head coach of Florida State women's soccer. He actually won 3 national championships there. He would do summer camps. He'd bring me in, and it was like jumping into like a little bit of a dangerous audience just because 14-year-old girls, 800 of them, and I'm coming in. It's a tough audience. And I know that now because I have a rising 14-year-old in my home. She's 13. And in that session, I do a opening oftentimes where I'll say, raise your hand if you played hide and seek. And I try to connect back to the fact that we all have something in common, and they all raise their hand. And I looked at one young girl of 800, and I had gotten a note that a friend of mine from my childhood's daughter was going to be in the mix. 800, Chris. And I pointed to her and I said, where are you from? And she said, West Covina, which is my hometown. Because I always do this with someone. And I say, and I walk up to you, you're 7 and I'm 7. And let's just hypothetically say we're in the same town and we're respectful. Everything's cool. And I walk up to you and say, hey, do you want to play? And the audience member always says, yeah. And that opens up my session. And I pointed at this young girl. I said, where are you from, West Covina? I said, well, I'm from West Covina. And I did the whole back and forth. And I said, I asked you if you want to play. What would you say? If you want to play hide and seek at 7 years old? And she said, yeah. And then I stopped everything. And I said, you're Barbara Oxenham's daughter. And she said, yeah. And I said, I grew up with your mom. She was my childhood friend. We literally played hide and seek. And I was using this audience member, and I realized that it was her daughter. And she looked just like her when she was 12. And that was, so it's funny. You think Yankees, you think, I don't know, military, you think, I don't know, Notre Dame basketball. And here I was doing a metaphor about the power of play and the power of connection and community. And I had chosen out of the audience this young woman who happened to be one of my childhood best friend's daughters. And so that was a special moment for me. And I didn't have that prepared. I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, and I just went on a run.
No, that's really cool. And like, what are the chances? 1 in 800 in Florida?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
all right. I have a meaningful question, and this will tell me all I need to know about you.
Timberwolves.
Sweet or dill relish?
Sweet.
What's wrong?
Wow. We're going to end this with judgment. Great. You know what? I'm not signing the waiver. No, I'm not signing the waiver. If you're going to end with that level of judgment, that's it makes. Now I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave feeling very vulnerable.
I know.
Yeah. That's funny. I got a lighthearted one for you.
What do you got?
This one will be fun, and I want you to really think about it because it's a tough one.
Okay, Chris.
If you could see any artist, dead or alive, live in concert, who would it be?
Beastie Boys.
Can you still do that? Is it possible? Have you seen them?
The lead.
That was confident. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a fan of their rhythm and their beats, and they're imperfectly out there. Kind of remind they took so many risks. They meshed tech. They're like Tale of 8 Cities, tech and hip hop and jazz and beats. And and then my wife and I had a chance to watch the documentary recently that really unpacked kind of their journey. But yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. And when you go to a concert, I would know almost all their songs just because they're so, well known. They're in the public domain. So yeah, I didn't think about that.
Shout out to the Beastie
Even though,
Boys.
come on. And my first concert ever, which also I love, wait for it, Lionel Richie at the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Oh, iconic.
Diana Ross opened for him. So I clearly like musicians that have popular songs that you could sing to. So yeah, Beastie Boys. That's a good question.
All right, one last question we like to wrap up with. If you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting their career, what advice would you give them?
And I'm going to answer this as if the career is like broad. It's not just as a public speaker or as production. And this is you'll always navigate, always be challenged with this. I would say when you're leading, we are not called to have everyone like us. That's the big challenge. We're called to love one another. And I know that sounds very heavy, and I don't mean it just heavy. It could be very light. But and I have to remind myself every day as a presenter and as a leader, we are not striving for people that are following us to like us all the time. And if you get caught in that mix, which is something I battle with all the time, you're going to tell people what they want to hear versus what they need to hear. And you're going to actually start to become insincere. So we have to remind ourselves we are called to love one another, not like each other all the time. And if I could remind myself of that, and if leaders can learn that, especially young leaders, they'll actually understand how to have difficult conversations, and they won't get trapped into being everything to everybody. I wish I knew that early on. So love one another. We don't always have to like each other. That's not what we're called to do.
That's a great place to leave it. There's nothing more to say. It's a mic drop moment. So Steve, this was so fun. I mean, I could continue this for another hour, but we'll wrap it up here and we'll save another topic for another day. But it was so fun to have you on.
Yes, sir. Great to have you on, Steve.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate chatting with you all. You're awesome. Very fun. Go Timberwolves.
All right, buddy. Yeah, if I make it up. Talk soon.
You're wonderful. Take care.
All right. Steve Shenbaum, founder of Game On Nation, an amazing group. We'll put the link in the description here. Y'all should check them out. They do great work. And like I said, when Steve hits the stage, he's the real deal. So if you want to make a real impact on your organization, I can absolutely 100% put my stamp of approval on it and bring them out, bring them to your event, and you will get great feedback, great meaningful feedback, right, Steve? So yeah, great having Steve on. I don't even know what clips we're going to pull as far as social media on this one. There's a million.
So many. Maybe we tag Michael Jordan, see if he remembers it. But Steve Shenbaum, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, catch you guys later. Bandcamp checks and Space Jam.